Hey everyone, my name is Vince Gelman. Thank you for joining me today. So, something that I hear a lot of or I read a lot of is they are gaslighting us. They are gaslighting us. The dark ones, the dark players, the dark forces, the oligarchs, their agents and operatives, their minions are gaslighting us. And they are. They absolutely are. They want to. That's part of their strategy. And I will get into that shortly. But what I what I am not seeing enough of is the recognition that we, us, have a responsibility to own that which is lit up inside of us, and that yes, they have a responsibility as well because they are intentionally gaslighting. But what is surfacing in us is not something that they put inside us. It was already there. So if they gaslight us and we feel anger or hatred or outrage, or we have evil thoughts, or we get emotional, we break down in sadness and fear. This is all our own stuff. They didn't put that there. And so, it's like a relationship with your intimate partner. They're going to trigger you. But what's triggered is yours. It was already there. And yes, people, your partner, the dark ones, they have a responsibility for owning their part in this dynamic. But ultimately, it is yours. And sometimes, your partner may not need to own anything because maybe he or she was really coming from their authentic heart and speaking very kindly and calmly, and you still got triggered. Well, then they don't have to own up to anything. This is 100% your stuff. And for you to take responsibility for, it is yours. So when people get caught up in they are gaslighting us, they are gaslighting me narrative, and we have a right to say that because it's true, but what's happening is people are getting so lost in it, and they're getting lost in it because of the refusal to take responsibility, radical self-responsibility for what is surfacing and what is ours. It is our anger, it is our hatred, it is our grief, it is our fear, it is our evil thoughts. It's ours. It was already there. So when you are gaslit or when you are triggered, what's happening is that the unconscious is becoming conscious. You're becoming conscious of what was in the shadows. And what if that's a good thing? What if that's a good thing? I mean, that's really one way to understand the dynamic of our intimate relationships, is that we are helping each other to become more self-aware. And part of that is we're going to activate, which is another word for trigger, we're going to activate the shadows and bring them to the light of our awareness so that we are more able to be curious about them, about these experiences, these reactions. Be curious and go, what was this about? Hey, maybe there's something for me to look at. Maybe there's something for me to learn here about myself, about my past, and maybe I need to go get some help, some therapeutic healing help. But you see, we live in a very infantile culture, a very infantile global consciousness that where people don't want to take radical self-responsibility. They don't want to own what is theirs. Instead of owning it, they want to disown it. Instead of owning it, they want to disown it and make someone else own it. You own it. You did this to me. You should be responsible for me. So you know what that is, everyone? That is consciousness. It is victim consciousness. It is the victim identity acting out, a victimhood that doesn't want to take responsibility for its own reactions. It's a victimhood that wants to blame and shame other people and not say, wait a second, what's here for me to look at? What's here for me to own? How's this sounding to all of you so far? Because this is what's happening out there. What the dark forces are doing in a strange way is they're helping people to become more aware of their shadows. They're triggering what was already in the collective shadow realm. It's surfacing and they're activating that just like your partner activates it in you. But again, we are living in a world where very few people have done inner work. A relatively small percentage of people have done their inner work. And for that reason, they're not interested or accustomed to taking responsibility or looking within, just becoming self-reflective. So it is much easier to disown it than own it. It's just much easier. I don't have to feel uncomfortable. I don't have to feel too uncomfortable. I don't have to be vulnerable. I don't have to feel too deeply, look too deeply. I don't have to go into the shadows. I make you responsible. I project my shadows onto you. You're the one who's at fault. You did this to me. And this is rampant right now because the dark forces are master gaslighters. And the reason why they want to gaslight us is because they want us to feel victimized. They want us to feel victimized. They feed off of it. They need it. And why do they do that? Because they want to create division. We know that. Divide and conquer. United we stand, divided we fall. They don't want unity. They don't want people coming together. They want division. You know that. So one way to create division is to create victimhood. It's to trigger victimhood. It's to create an us versus them consciousness. And when you have people unwilling to own what is theirs, they're going to find a them. You're the one who's at fault. Now I'm going to attack you. I'm going to shame you. I'm going to think negatively about you. And so what we have is this dynamic of victim and perpetrator. And this happens in our intimate relationships. You did this to me, I'm the victim and you're the perpetrator. Another time, that person's the victim and you're the perpetrator, and it switches. And there's actually a third element from this model that I didn't create, and I can't remember who did. The third element is called the savior or the rescuer. And in our relationships, our intimate relationships, we rotate between these three, between victim, perpetrator, and savior. We're flipping around through them. And suddenly I'm the savior. I'm trying to make you better. I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to take you out of your mess. And then now I get triggered and I'm the victim and you're the perpetrator. And now your partner is the savior. They're trying to fix you. Because that's what we do in our relationships. We try to fix. And so we're trying to save, rescue, make better, caretake, right? So what's happening is we can apply that to out there. There's the victim consciousness, and then there's the perpetrator out there. That's the perpetrator. They're doing this to me. And who is the savior? Well, the savior actually, in many ways, are the dark forces. They're the savior because they're the ones who want to come in and provide the solution for the division, for the crisis, for the chaos that they're social engineering. They want to come in and, for example, they want to now sign in new anti-hatred laws. No more hate speech. And what this does is it allows them to increase their censorship complex. More censorship. We're not allowed, we don't want you to speak freely because you're offending each other. So we're going to pass this law or this regulation, and we're going to have an online safety bill, or we're going to have some anti-hate speech laws, and we're going to fine you $40,000, $50,000. We're going to put you in prison for 70 years. And so they come in and they provide the savior role for the problems that they've socially engineered. Another example is that they're really feeding off of the victimhood that is driving transgenderism. And so they want people who are identified as transgender to feel victimized by other people. Oh, you question my gender, you misgender me. And so that then allows the dark ones to come in and, and enforce more laws that stop people from speaking freely. That's hate speech. If you misgender someone, that's hate speech. I mean, woke consciousness, everyone. What is wokism? Wokism is victim consciousness on steroids. And I cannot say that strongly enough. Wokeism is victim consciousness on steroids. They want the dark ones, us, to feel victimized. They want wokeism. They've leveraged it. They've social engineered it. I mean, BLM was one of their big social engineering projects. And that's not going to happen if there isn't victim consciousness. And yes, I'm really aware that Black people have suffered. That goes without saying. But what I'm trying to tell you is that that movement doesn't happen without victim consciousness. They need it. They need to leverage it. They social engineer it. They leverage it. They want people to feel hard done by. And so we reach for their solutions. They're the savior. You're the victim. And they get you to turn against the perpetrator who's offended you. Is this making sense? So why would we want to contribute to that consciousness if that's what they need to usher in tyranny? Why would we want to contribute more to this poor me, you've offended me? Why would we want to feed that? Because they need it. They need it to foster division. They need it to bring in the solutions. We will come in and we will take care of things, seemingly. So when people say, oh, you gaslit me, or they're gaslighting me, or when they're getting caught in the gaslight narrative, and when they're not taking responsibility for their own reaction, they're adding to this web of consciousness that they need. They need it. They have to have that. See, the last thing they want is people to be empowered. They don't want people being empowered. They don't want people taking self-responsibility. They don't want people who are acting like leaders. They don't want people self-reflecting. They don't want people healing. They want people who are sick, weak, poor, dependent, enslaved, numb, and dumb. That's what they want. They don't want people critically thinking. They don't want people questioning. They certainly don't want people questioning within. They don't want that. They want victimhood. Excuse me. They want victimhood. So yeah, they don't want people who are empowered. So why would we want to add to the disempowering consciousness out there by continually feeding this? Oh, you're gaslighting us. It's the opposite of what we ought to be doing. If they gaslight you, or if anyone else gaslights you, take responsibility for it. Do something radical. Own it. Own it. Okay, this just surfaced in me. I feel anger. I feel afraid. I feel upset. Okay, let's look at this. Maybe this comes from when I was 5 years old. Maybe this comes from when my daddy did this or my mommy didn't do this. Maybe it comes from an intergenerational ancestral inheritance, because we get programming, we get trauma passed down through the lineage. Maybe it came from a past life. Who knows where it comes from? Maybe it came from in utero imprints, from having a stressed out mother. We don't know. But what if we owned it? What if we said, I'm going to own this, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to process it, I'm going to heal it. You see, they don't want warrior spirits. They want weak spirits. They want people who are going to continuously blame, shame. They want people playing the blame, shame game, right? That's what they want. And yes, again, they do need to take responsibility and they will be held accountable. And your partner sometimes needs to be held accountable too and take responsibility. Unless, again, your partner is coming from a centered, heartfelt place and you're getting triggered, even though they're coming from a centered, heartfelt place, then they don't need to take responsibility. But yeah, other people do need to take responsibility. But start with you taking responsibility for your shadows that are surfacing, that are now becoming more in the conscious light of your awareness. They're there for the seeing. They're there for clarity. It's a gift to be gaslit, maybe. What if you just saw it? It's like, whoa, now something's here that I wasn't aware of before. I can do something with this. I don't have to identify with it as much. I can release it. That's the gift of being gaslit. That's the gift of being triggered. That's why we're in these relationships with our partners. That's why we keep attracting the same kind of person again and again, because we're playing out patterns and they're triggering us the way our last partner triggered us, because there's something that needs to be triggered. Get rid of the word trigger, use the word activated. Something is being activated from the unconscious for you to become conscious of. That's what healing is, everyone. That is actually what healing is. It's bringing what's in the shadow into the light of your awareness for release. That's what healing is. People have a real immature understanding of what the purpose of relationship is. They think the purpose of relationship is to have sex, make babies, have fun, go on holidays together. Well, that's definitely part of it. But what we haven't been aware of is that we're with this person because they're the perfect person for us to grow through, and that they're going to mirror us. They're going to mirror our shadows, and they're going to trigger us. They're going to activate us, and that's part of the divine design. And it is a divine design because we continually attract the same kind of person. Even our bosses are triggering us in a similar way. Why do I keep attracting the same kind of boss? And what about my best friend? He or she's doing the same thing. There's a law of mirroring, everyone. And so the dark ones, as I've said to you before in other videos, they are playing the role of the mirror. They are activating the shadows. They're bringing them up to the surface. This is part of the Great Awakening right now, is that what has been in the shadow, hatred, shame, fear, anger, jealousy, evil, is now coming out. It's coming out, and we see it being acted out everywhere. There's more violence, there's more chaos, and it's coming out. It was already there. They did not put it in there. They did not put it in you. It was already there. So what if we do something absolutely crazy, out there, highly unique, highly rare, and we take ownership of it? That is leadership, everyone. That's being a warrior. That's one of the best ways we can help to transform this very pained collective consciousness, is by taking ownership, taking responsibility, and not adding to the victim domain that is out there, that is absolutely rampant, and that they depend on. They depend on it. They want it. They want us divided. They want us versus them, and they want to step in and be the savior. Well, you be the savior for you. You be your own rescuer. Turn within, own it. It's yours, and no one put it there. So thanks, everyone. My name's Vince Gauman, and I lead online healing and activation ceremonies, and there is a link in the description. You can check that out. Next weekend, we're working with the Sophia Dragons, and as well, we're also working with Isis and Osiris from the Egyptian lineage in my online healing and activation ceremonies. Otherwise, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. I will see you later. Ciao.